right, next up, thank you very much to our speakers today, Christine Bartlett, Susie Rollins. I spoke as well. And next up, we have Kevin Sofia. And I swear she embodies her name. So listen, she's the only way through it, from victimization to legislation. You are going to be so impressed with this young lady, I'm telling you. Heaven is a Pakistani-American spiritual healer, body autonomy activist, research assistant, and small business owner. After experiencing the harmful effects of cyberbullying and non-consensual pornography, otherwise known as revenge porn, firsthand, she decided to lobby in her home state for legislation to criminalize it. Can't believe it wasn't criminal before. So, and I cannot wait to hear you. Anyway, I digress. She consults with survivors and law enforcement and works to empower others through one-on-one coaching and remaining vocal as a driving force for legal change to prevent or to protect vulnerable people. And I'm just in awe of this young woman. So please help me welcome Heaven Sofia.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Yes, it is awkward hearing people talk about you. So third person to say that. I'm super honored to be here, and I appreciate getting to be just part of this peer group now. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so I can get started. I will do my best to keep this brief. All right, so the only way through it. I would not define myself as someone who considers themselves very brave or fearless. When I was a teenager, a group of my friends were talking about this cliff they'd been diving off of. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like, tell me about it. Where is it? And they invited me to go. That is not what I was expecting. And of course, I couldn't say no. So I was like, do it. I can't wait. But I was not the jump off a cliff into the depths of the water type of person. I was the person who always had a stomach ache and was scared of their own shadow. So when we got to the lake, which I didn't think we were actually serious about, we climbed to the top of the cliff and began debating over who would jump first. So this is not the cliff, but this is what it felt like. This is Ginger Hoover. She's a professional cliff diver. And absolutely, once again, not the cliff, but I like this because Ginger is actually terrified of heights. And she jumps anyway, so very inspirational to me. And just for context, this is the actual cliff. So my fear was very heightened and pretty minuscule when you compare it to what Ginger does for part of her career. And what I knew for a fact was that the first person jumping off that cliff was not going to be me. One of my best friends took pity on me and she said, Heaven, it's fine. We know you. Go ahead, walk back. We'll see you at the bottom. And I really didn't need to be told twice. I get to the bottom and I just walk in the water. I'm like, okay, I don't want to slip on any rocks because that's the scariest thing that can happen when your friends are cliff diving. And I'm just waiting for them and I'm floating. One by one, I watch them jump and I'm so impressed. And I'm a little sad that I didn't do it. It wasn't because I wanted to jump in the water. It was because I wanted to feel what it felt like to go over the cliff, take that leap into the unknown, and do something terrifying. And I honestly didn't know if I would ever take an opportunity to do something like that and experience that feeling until 2015. In the span of approximately 6 to 8 years, the timeline honestly is a little murky. I went from a victim of abuse to an activist lobbying for a cyber civil rights law. This started for me with a stalker from my high school, and I was stalked and socially isolated by this predator until I dated him. I received a substantial amount of bullying about not wanting to date him because I was committing the gravest act a teenage girl could commit. I was friend zoning him. Too nice and insecure to tell him no, but not interested. So always looking for an excuse to not be his girlfriend. At the end of the day, he pressured me into it, and he had help. He was a football player. He was liked by teachers, and a lot of people pressured me into it. And this was just one of the many ways my consent was violated in the course of knowing this person. What started as what many people perceived as unrequited teenage love for him ended with me being the victim of non-consensual pornography, also known as revenge porn. I really hate calling it that because it doesn't encompass even close to what this experience did to my psyche. This wasn't just revenge porn, it was a nightmare that defined my self esteem, my relationship, and many times even my career. Revenge porn is not my preferred term, but it is why I know what it feels like to take the leap and dive headfirst into unknown territory. So the Cyber Civil Rights Initiative, they have come out with some new terminology that's a little bit more victim centered, and I really appreciate that. And I'm trying to adopt these myself. But anyway, so I began receiving emails from men on Craigslist responding to a personal ad made by this person as he was soliciting me out. It escalated and it escalated a lot. Dating profiles, social media profiles, people being catfished, thinking they were in a relationship with me, threats to my physical safety. And at this point, I'm in college. So I went to law enforcement. This is my university, and I went to the campus police. And what's really funny now, the fact that I tried to go to law enforcement, is that up until recently, they come to me for advice. So I was going to them in 2012, 13, 14, and they're coming to me in 2022, as recently as 2022. They didn't know how to handle it then, and very few are educated on how to handle it now. Back then, I was directed to two different police stations, and neither could decide which was supposed to help me. So they had me file a report with the FBI. Nothing came of it. I called lawmakers and I couldn't get a call or an email back. I called attorneys. They said they couldn't help me. I went to my university and I finally had a little hope because, as far as I knew, he was a student there too. The VP of Student Affairs tried so hard to help, but she couldn't do anything because he had dropped out. And at this point, my last hope for institutional recourse was gone. Some of the people I went to in search of a solution to end this nightmare turned around and asked me for help because they'd had a similar experience themselves. They had never told anyone. And at this point, I'd been collecting resources. So even in my directionless, depressed, about to give up on life itself state, I had more information than they did. Unfortunately, some of the people I went to taught me a very hard lesson. And that's when people can't help you, they'll find a way to blame you. This was the opposite of what I needed. But thankfully, I found an incredible attorney named Elisa D'Amico. She's the co-founder of the Cyber Civil Rights Initiative, and she coached me through what to do, how to handle the harassment. However, she couldn't do anything for me legally because there was no bill for this in the state of Oklahoma. There was not a law protecting victims, and she wasn't licensed here anyway. Although this started with me being targeted, eventually it moved to my family and my friends. I didn't have a choice but to own up to what had been happening. I was going on all the routes of trying to fix this through the system. I didn't even think about needing to open up to my friends and family. I really didn't want to, but I had to because now they were receiving messages. And so as it was affecting them, I had to tell them this wasn't law enforcement, not student success. The people who've known me most of my life, and even some of my new friends, which was not great, not a great experience in college. Um, it wasn't until soon after this that I finally decided to tell my story because I chose to and not because I had to. I just started my very first career after graduating college, and I did what most young and excited people do, and I updated all my social media, which I believed I'd set to private. I received a lot of messages congratulating me, but I also received another message, a very disturbing one. And it wasn't the first one. It wasn't even the worst one I've ever received. Like I said, this has been happening for years. Organizations I was part of, if they listed me on their site, they were inevitably going to receive messages, or I would be messaged and told to pay up or else. So I'd already experienced this, but for some reason, the way this person did it, it honestly just pissed me off more than it scared me. And I think this is the day that my fear finally broke. Now, I still experience fear, but now it's not something that makes me freeze. It's something that just makes me want to understand and conquer it. I'm going to show you the message. It's extremely rude. I am going to warn you, but I am going to go ahead and show it to you. So this is the message I received on April 19th, 2015. I logged into my old Facebook account to pull that up. And so, yep, this is what I woke up to. Just started my brand new job. This is the rest of it. And of course, there's the last one. So someone who forgets about me, but he just keeps coming back because he's not getting an answer. And he used my favorite W word right there. I used to reply to these messages, but my attorney advised that I never do, so I stopped. They realized this. This community online, they actually work together in a very organized way. They come together to harass people, and in my case, they would share screenshots in public forums of my replies to their anonymous messages. And when I wouldn't reply, they would complain. They knew I didn't really reply to them anymore. Empty threats were not enough to get a reaction out of me. Many lost interest because of this, but this person saw it as an opportunity, but unfortunately for them, I did as well. This is a message I received from one of my best friends letting me know that she'd received a message. This is one of many, it's just one of the screenshots I've saved. My dad is a retired journalist, and he always told me that there are no shortcuts in life. The only way through a difficult situation is through it, which is the title of my talk. And it's advice that plays through my head to this day. It wasn't the advice I wanted, but it's definitely the advice that I needed. And thankfully, because of his career, he'd seen what cyberbullying was doing to youth and young adults. I think this made him the perfect father to have during this type of crisis, because honestly, the support was unreal. And so many people have not had the same level of support that I did. So I recognize I'm extremely blessed to have had that. When I asked him and my mother if I could partner with the journalist he worked with to do something about this, he said he knew the perfect one, and he introduced me to Maureen. So Maureen Wirtz is an investigative journalist, and she really helped me get through this. She fought to get me in the right rooms with lawmakers and tell my story. She helped make it happen. Her reporting, her empowerment, and her friendship gave me the strength and the courage to do something I never thought that I could. She and her photographer Dre interviewed me, lawmakers, my family, and my family did put themselves out there. My dad on TV 5 days a week, but never having to talk about his daughter. And my mother, one of the shyest people you'll ever meet in your life, she put herself out there too. And it sent a message. I had backup. Having people have my back sent a message, and that's the power of community. My community became so vast because of this. I found people, and people found me. Professors and administrators from my university came out, and they made statements about what I'd gone through, and they supported me as well. And I was shocked. All this time of me fighting this on my own and really just trying to be a force in this cause, I couldn't have done it without everybody else. It was called SB 1257, and it passed. And non-consensual pornography finally became illegal in the state of Oklahoma. My first time jumping off the cliff into the water wasn't going to a journalist or being on TV. It wasn't going to the Capitol and asking strangers to listen to me. It was the small things that added up over time, like talking to my family, my friends, my university, leaving voicemails to lawmakers who never responded prior to ever speaking with an attorney or a journalist, sitting in a room alone with various male police officers multiple times who had no idea how to handle what was happening, and ultimately getting sent away with no resources because they didn't know. It was waking up every day and choosing to keep going and joining organizations quietly, but still join. Get a new job. Don't post it on LinkedIn, but get a new job. Go to the grocery store. You have to eat. They know where you live, but you can't starve because of fear. Choose a quiet life. I really did do my best to choose a quiet life. I fought owning this for a while. We can't control much in this lifetime, but one thing we should have ownership over is our image, our bodies. They belong to the person inhabiting them. My body is mine, yours belongs to you. And for some reason, we aren't born with those rights. In certain situations, you have to file for a copyright to have legal ownership over your images. Is it up to lawmakers who own the rights to our images and who owns what we can do with our bodies? In my opinion, absolutely not. In this era where digital lives are our personal lives, the issue of consent is more critical than ever, and we have to assert our ownership over our images and our bodies. Our bodily autonomy is under constant threat in so many ways. And there are people who want to tell us what we can do with them, and people who wish violence upon them. Respect, no matter what your beliefs are, having respect about people and their life choices, and respecting people and not understanding the consequences they're paying for choices they didn't make. Respect is just the right way to go. And honestly, it's a lot easier on the soul than hate is. I don't harbor hate for those who hurt me. I don't harbor love for them either. Don't get me wrong, that is not my brand. I do pity them. They'll never know what it's like to step out of their own shadows. In the time they spent messaging me, calling me names, researching me, contacting my employers, my friends, my family, for the purpose of dehumanizing, extorting, and silencing me and many others, they could have been spending time working on their own lives, and that is heartbreaking. I want to challenge you to be brave every single day. Do one bold thing every single week and experience something truly courageous at least once in your lifetime. Leap into the unknown. It is liberating. Own your narrative. Be scared, do it anyway. I did, so I know you can too, because I'm an adult that sleeps with the night light. I am still a very fearful person. I'm serious. I wake up, I have weird dreams, and I refuse to open my eyes for at least 10 seconds. I will say out loud, if there's anyone in my room right now, get the hell out, or I'm going to rain hell on you because I am scared of the dark. I want to leave you with a couple quotes because I really couldn't choose just one. And I have friends in this room who know I can never go an entire conversation without mentioning Buffy the Vampire Slayer. There is only one thing on this earth more powerful than evil, and that is us. Dr. Nicole Truesdell, she gave me permission to quote her, so I'm incredibly grateful. She's amazing, and she wrote this, or she made this video the other day about Beyonce's song Church Girl and how it's the epitome of deconstruction, reminding us that we are our bodies and we must be in our bodies. And she paired it with the Nico song Jericho, where she said, "You are neither woman nor man, you are part of the cosmos, your blood is the Milky Way." And these two songs with Nicole's analysis just absolutely spoke to me. So I'm so grateful she gave me permission to share this. Go follow her because she was really nice to me. And then my last quote is going to be from Dragon Ball Z. So I'm obviously a nerd, so my apologies. But this is the journey that will never end, the struggle to push beyond all limits and redefine the meaning of power. These are some resources available. One thing about me is that I'm a resource queen. Use every single one of them that you come across. I'm 31 and I'm a member of AARP because you can be a member of AARP regardless of your age. Resources, I'm telling you, they will change your life. But most importantly, these are the resources for cyber civil rights information. Although I spelled I spelled the I wrong, my bad. Anyway, we're gonna skip past that one. Here's my contact info. Please don't live in shame. Ask for help. Build your community. I know it's easier said than done, but the one I have is 10 years in the making. Build your community, do something bold, and change the freaking world because I absolutely know that you can.
Oh my gosh, you have me crying. Um, wow, powerful, powerful story. Thank you, thank you, thank you for
Oh,
telling
thank you.
me.
Thank you for having me here and allowing me to tell my story. I really appreciate it.
It's so important, so incredibly important what you are doing for everyone who comes after you and many who have come before you, because those I like I said at the beginning, I can't even fathom that those laws aren't in place, and how dare they?
Yeah, unfortunately, the internet is the wild, wild west, and there's definitely been some major improvements that have made. When this happened to me, I think only 16 states had laws. So luckily, it's becoming a lot more normalized, and they really want to make something a little bit more sweeping. That would be a federal offense. Um, but unfortunately, this is our reality, and now we have the issue with deep fakes are becoming a bigger problem. If you have kids and you post them on your social media, I'm just going to really ask that you don't, or you make your social media private. I know it's a very personal decision, and I know people are excited to share their families, but in the world that I'm in, that's a very dangerous thing to do. So please consider that. And that's really all I have to say. Oh, do something really brave today.
Fantastic, fantastic. Just Dana says, thank you for being so brave and sharing your story and making a change. Christopher says, extremely important issue. Thank you. Totally agree. Sabrina says, amazing and inspiring. Thank you for this. Truly, I'm in awe of your, and I know you say you're not a brave person, but this is brave. This is what brave looks like in my world.
Thank you so much. And thank you for everyone's comments.
Thank you. Yes, such an inspiration. Okay, so I'm gonna end the recording.